What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today I want to talk about why Igor is suddenly meta, why I kinda hate it, and how you can counter it. So that is going to be all of the topics that we put in this video. It was all started by a guildmate. He came up with a team that kind of reminded me of the Balder meta. Not because of the heroes that he used, but because of how annoying it really was. And we can check this out. I have the fight still open. I found him here. That is the team. It is Tazi, Talene, Igor, Bonnie, and Athalia. And you can see, overall, I mean, he has P4 units. This guy has multiple P4 units on his account. But in the P4 average, or like the Paragon levels, that is very different. He has like a Supreme plus Talene, a Supreme plus Igor in this team. So not super highly upgraded units. We have P2 Athalia. And then we have those super high upgraded units. This guy could also set a full P4 team. Is possible, but he decided on this team, and the reason for that is, well, it kind of abuses the thing that Athalia also did in the last season, where we did the Hogan team, and the mechanic that was abused was just that Athalia, when she's defeated, she goes into a lance state with a 35% reduced attack, and you can't take care of Hogan fast enough. That was the mechanic last time. It was the faction skill for Lightbringer, before Athalia takes care of you. And there is nothing that you can do about it, because, well, you can't take care of Hogan fast enough. Athalia will continue to deal damage to you, and then you are just done at one point. And this is kind of the same. So the purpose of the other units isn't really to deal a whole lot of damage. Bonnie, to an extent, yeah, is kind of nice. But Tazi, just because she's force revived, meaning she goes in her below 50% HP state, and then just after some time revives, which drags out the fight to an extent. Talene, the same. She also revives after some time. Igor can't really be killed. He jumps around in his little tombstone. On his tombstones, which are a cool mechanic, deals very moderate amounts of damage, and you really can't defeat him very well. And we can take a look at the fight before we go into the live match. And I actually went ahead and I tried a whole lot of different things. I also have like an Athalia team here. I put Cryonaya in there just because I kind of forgot about one of her mechanics, and we can kind of delve into my arrow in a little bit. So in theory, Cryonaya is a great unit to counter Igor, because you see this little marker. This little marker is an insta-defeat marker, like the one you get on Odie. So if you target the enemy Igor, that is absolutely great. Problem is, Igor barely does any damage. Like compared to the other units on that team, Igor really does no damage. And I forgot, and I have to say that Cryonaya actually has a targeting hold. The targeting is the 3 enemies with the highest cumulative damage, and Igor of course isn't that. So what that ends up with is that she almost never targets Igor if she fights this specific enemy team of shrimp that we have here. So that was a little bit of a problem, which meant I couldn't really use Cryonaya. Cryonaya deals with Talene, who just revives. It deals with Bonnie, who is in that team just to put on her damage over time effect, and it kinda deals with Athalia, because Athalia, I mean, she stays in her lance form, so it didn't really work out. If, by the way, you fight a team like this, and they made the arrow to have Igor in the top 3 damage dealers, you can very much so use it with Cryonaya and very quickly take care of this team, because once the Igor, like 3 enemies dies and the Igor is in that, you pretty much won the fight. So that is the thing that we have to do against this team. And then I tried a ton of other units, because there are a ton of other units that can work. I mean, one choice that we have right here, and we can go into the fight for that. One choice was the Cryonaya. As I said, doesn't work because the top 3 damage dealers were usually the Athalia, or usually the Talene, because she has like an ability at the start of the fight that she kind of nukes the enemy's team with the Divine Fire, and it was usually the Bonnie, and that really wasn't worth too much, to be honest. So I kind of replaced her, and I used one arrow that he made, and probably now that I make this video, I think he's going to see it, and he's probably going to fix it. This Igor is the frontmost unit, and people on this map specifically like to place it close to this area, because it kind of stops the enemy from using melee units, because they can't get past their tombstone. But you can bring one OG back that hasn't seen PvP play for quite some time, and that is Odie, because this Igor will stay there for a while. So Odie will actually, with very high likelihood, unless the enemy is also using a Dunlinger, get an ult off, kill that Igor, and probably maybe even get the second one and target another hero quite often it is just the Athalia, but it can still lead you to a victory, which is pretty cool. So that is one way to deal with it. You would think that Siren can deal with it, but that is very, very rarely the case, because the thing is, Siren also has an insta-defeat effect, but this insta-defeat effect is only in the center of this black hole. So all enemies are pulled towards the center. Enemies within the center are immediately defeated if their current HP is below Siren attack. And the problem is that Igor is unaffected while being on a stone, so he doesn't really care. He doesn't go into that area, unless you're really, really lucky, obviously. But rarely happens. Chimera can deal with it, but it's just a little bit too slow in terms of dealing damage, and thus we can kind of take a look at how this can work out. This team won't necessarily win against it, but it has a pretty good chance. So that is something that is rather nice about it, and we can kind of see this at the start. You can see the Igor kind of stays close here, takes the first ult, bam, instantly gone, and we get a second ult off, which ideally would hit the Tazi, but the Tazi sadly quite often stays there, and you can see this Igor there got quite a lot of value. And now the fight becomes, well, a little bit atrocious, because it really ends up being just about who can survive the longest and who has the most revive effects, which in my opinion is a horrible meta. But we actually got the victory here, which is pretty cool. So we take a few points back from Mr. Shrimp. Hopefully he's a little bit sad about this. I don't mind getting challenged in an arena. It is quite fun. Even though it must have seemed weird to him that I tried like so many teams yesterday, I nuked my own points. But it's surprising how much value you can get out of Odie. And I mean, like, I have him at P4, obviously. You can get him from Arena Store. It's still rather nice. And it's a pretty nice Igor counter if you consider the positioning. If the positioning of the Igor was different and he positioned him further to the back, for example, we probably wouldn't get to target him that easily. But maybe we would get a hit on the Tazi then. And that can also work and take care of her. So there are further options that we can delve into. But what I also want to tell you, well, this is kind of a strong team to build, isn't it? This is kind of a strong team to build. So something that I would definitely take a look at if you have the necessary heroes, and I mean some people will certainly have it. He built all of this now on the map 5, put the Igor over here, had the Athalia, and that was the positioning he chose. So overall, a very, very strong way to actually do it. I mean, probably, if I now that I think about it, I would probably have changed it around a little bit, put the this guy a little bit more to the back. I mean, the good thing that he has right here, he gets a revive effect on that, but I don't think that actually works if I counter that with Odie. I've never seen that the strategy here. I mean, with the revive effect, you have this on the Pyre of Renewal. When Pyre of Renewal reaches maximum number of stacks and its carrier is defeated, all stacks will be consumed, and to transform the carrier into a ball of flame, the carrier will be resurrected. So the question here is it really a good idea to do this with Igor? Because with Igor, I mean, you get the tombstone, but you would need more tombstones to really make him stay alive. Otherwise, he's quite squishy and very, very, very quickly gone. So, is a question, really. Is a question. I mean, probably you could go like this. Maybe put the Tazi up ahead. But it's also very, very difficult. And you could in theory go like this and get the same result. Get the same result overall. Because you have the effect, you have the Talene up front, which isn't really too risky, and if you take care with Odie of that would probably work better. So this is one thing that you can go for, and this is probably a very strong team to choose. And I think I will just save that. So if anybody wants to copy it, I will put the link down below. We are going to nuke another team there. Let's delete the original one. And I like this. I think this was a very cool thing to do. Let's delve into a little bit more of the options that we have there. Do we save that? We can just save that. It's kind of funny because we have the higher Paragon, so we win by whaling. I probably have a very bad win rate at this. So yeah, I've been trying to enhance my Igor ever since. You won't want him at Supreme Plus though if you want to go for this strategy, because he gets this extra tombstone, which is really essential for his survivability. But if I remember correctly, if we check out the Emporium, I think he's in the Arena Store. Yeah, check this out. He's in Arena Store, so you can buy him over there if you want to. If you want him as a PvP unit, so that is fairly cheap to do. And I mean, from the Season Store, you can get the Tazi. And you can also get the Bonnie, which is also quite kind of interesting. And then you go into the guild store and you can buy yourself the Talene and the Athalia. You can buy this whole team in the stores. That is super fancy. I didn't even think about that in advance, but we can go into every single store and buy all the heroes if we had the necessary currency. I mean, that's fairly fancy. Okay, yeah, probably shouldn't, but it is quite an interesting team to do so. If you don't have like all of the heroes that are in there, one replacement that you can take is kind of Thorin. Thorin pretty much is very similar to the other heroes that we've shown. He can also revive, take a little bit of damage even off some of your heroes if you want to go that far. And he has forced revives as well. Probably a little bit worse than Tazi to an extent. But sometimes he can deal big damage, and against certain teams could be pretty cool. So is another option that you could look at. We are not really at a point yet where we have similar heroes that work out. Damien is a little bit squishy, though the combination of Damien and Thorin we have seen in some of my videos be quite successful, even at surviving a little bit longer. Callan can survive on his own for quite some time, but I really, in this fight, it's also interesting. I delved a little bit into counters more, and you can see not all of it was successful. A lot of it actually wasn't. I tried to do a little with the Siren, that of course we have already discussed. And then another thing that I wanted to take a look at, and we can take a look at this fight because it is very interesting. I wanted to check out the Enhanced Force here. I wanted to make this Odie survive a little bit longer. And I did this. If an ally's HP ratio drops below 20% while Scalita is in the air doing Sanctified Warrior, she instantly guards them a shield that blocks around 20% of damage for 10 seconds. This, interestingly enough, seems to protect them from death. So we can see this on my Odie over here. Odie, of course, once again nuking the enemy there. And oh well, in this case it just gave him the huge shield. We can see it blocked her from instantly nuking him. We also kind of lost the ability. I still don't know what killed him there. But this was just one way I actually checked to make him survive a little bit longer and to take out 2, maybe even 3 enemies. And I think I would have won with this team a little bit more if it wasn't for my Scalita being a little bit weak. Exit replay, yeah, we want to. What really doesn't work is something like this. Not really the Cryonaya, but the Callan and Ludovic part of it. Like, really, against an Athalia, even if you put your Cryonaya next to what is essentially the best PvP healer and the best support unit to make your hero stay alive, it only works to an extent. We were really able to nuke the first, to block the first dash and get our ult off. That part worked, but as soon as the Callan stops, it's just BAM and your hero is gone. So, doesn't even matter if she's in her Lance form, she will just one-shot them. And the problem with Callan is really he takes so long to get to the next ult that by the time then Athalia has already taken care of your team. So really, if you just want to get one ult off, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, we already talked about when Cryonaya can make sense, and there are certainly situations when the Igor and all of those relevant units that keep this team alive are in the top 3 damage dealers. Other than that, Odie in some extent, I mean, I wouldn't say he's like better than Cryonaya, but in this specific situation that we took a look at, certainly, because we were able to take care of this Igor that we otherwise would have struggled with. So in that sense, that very much so worked out for us, and sometimes it's really worth it to take a look at this. Lastly, I kind of talked about Scalita as a way to stay alive longer. We could also, of course, look at her from another way, because Scalita with her Mythic Plus can also quickly take care of units such as Tazi and Igor, because she has this knockaway mechanic, and with a huge ult that she would do once she comes down, she could take care of a few enemy units. So she's not a very, very bad choice in that regard, and also not a very bad choice if we consider that first of all, we have instant nukes with enemy Athalia, but we also do have units that require you to kind of knock them out with an execute mechanic. So we have both of this in Scalita, and we have the time in the ult. It is not really that bad for a unit to really not do that much for 15 seconds or something in this Athalia team. You could have a Scalita in there, definitely. If, for example, Shrimp took the Bonnie and replaced her with Scalita, maybe this would even be more successful. We have another layer to this. We have the shield. If you don't trigger the shield, which is unlikely with this team, but you will probably trigger the shield, you would get the full AoE smash, which would be an absolutely insane thing to happen against this Igor team. So this could absolutely work if you have the Scalita. I don't have a very strong Scalita, not a Scalita that could probably work very well at this level, but nonetheless can be a very strong thing to do. And yeah, I just wanted to tell you about this. As I said, you will find the code for the team that Shrimp made with this adapted form in the description down below. If you want, I mean, you can try certain things about it. I would be very much so interested if somebody tried Scalita instead of Bonnie, probably, and what the results were in that case. Have you tried this team yet? Shout out to Shrimp, definitely. Well, I don't have to give him a shout out. The guy took all my points. Look at this, 2,704. How many points does he have? 2,763. It is sadness. It is sadness. It is sadness. But it's okay. He won fair and square. So that is a good thing. And he gave me time to experiment. So other than that, we have one more thing to note, of course. And that is, of course, Loot Bar. Loot Bar will always give you the cheapest Dragon Crystals, though I don't know why they have a Natsu and Lucy pack. That event is over. And you can get a 12 and an 8% discount coupon if you register through the link down below in the description. And you can also support my channel by doing so. So that is very, very cool. Shout out to Loot Bar. Always buy my Dragon Crystals to the lock-in topper, because that is the cheapest price that you can currently get on the market, to my awareness. So with that, we still have one more thing to say, because I know somebody will ask. It's the Igor Pumpkin Spirit Skin. It's not the classic one, it's the Pumpkin Spirit Skin. I don't know if it's available in the shop, actually. It was from the Halloween event. Just so that you guys are aware of it. And with that, I wish you a great day, and we'll see us in the next one.